Welcome to Introduction to E-commerce. Today we are going to learn about Chapter 5 E-commerce Business Strategy. So today this is our learning objective. The first objective is to identify the key component of e-commerce business model. Second is to describe the major B2C business model. And the last objective is to understand the key business concept and strategy applicable to e-commerce. So today this is the first slide, e-commerce business model. So we have to define what is business model. Business model is a set of planned activity designed to result in a profit in a marketplace. So of course we need to do a business plan. The business plan is describe a firm's business model, and e-commerce business model is used to leverage unique qualities of internet and web. So there are 8 important elements of a business model. First, value proposition. Second, revenue model. Third, market opportunity. Fourth, competitive environment. Fifth, competitive advantages. 6, market strategy. 7, organizational development. And lastly, management team. First, value propositions. So why should the customer buy from you? So the success e-commerce value propositions included personalization, customization. Second factor is to reduce product search cost, price discovery cost, and a third factor must be facilitating of transaction by managing product delivery. So second, revenue model. So the first question will rise up, how will you earn money? So there are some major source of revenue model. First one is based on advertising revenue model. Second one is based on subscription revenue model, for example freemium strategy. And third method is transaction fees revenue model. Number 4 is sales revenue model, and lastly is affiliate revenue model. Number 3, market opportunity. What market space do you intend to serve and what is its size? So the definitions of market space is areas of actual or potential commercial value in which company intends to operate. And it is of course a realistic market opportunity is defined by revenue potential in each market niche in which company hopes to compete. So the next important item is market opportunity, typically divided into smaller niche. Number 4 is a competitive environment. So the question might be raised up is, who else occupy your intended market space? Other companies selling similar product in the same market space include both direct and indirect competitors. Normally they are influenced by 4 factors. First is number and size of active competitors. Second, each competitor's market share. Third is competitors' profitability. And fourth is competitors' pricing. Number 5 is competitive advantages. What special advantage does your firm bring to the market space? Is your product superior to or cheaper to produce than your competitor? So there are some important concepts to describe about competitive advantages. First one, asymmetric. Second, first mover advantages. Complementary resources. Number 3, unfair competitive advantages. Fourth is leverage. And finally is perfect markets. 6 is about market strategy. So the question might be raised up, should be like this: how do you plan to promote your product or service to attract your target audience. It stated detail how a company intend to enter markets and attract customer. Best business concept will fail if not properly marketed to the potential customer. Number 7 is organization's development. Normally the question that might be raised up is what types of organization structures within the firm are planned to carry out the business plan. Normally it's described how firm will organize work, typically divide into the functional department. As company grows, a hiring moving from generalists to specialists. And lastly, number 8, management team. The question might be raised up, what kind of background should the company leaders have? A strong management team can make the business model work. Second, give credit to outside investor. And number 3 is has market specific knowledge and also has experience in implement business plan. So in order to run your e-commerce, the first thing we have to raise up capital. So where's the capital is coming from? First one is come from seed capital. Normally is well provided by government agency. Second is elevator pitch, deliver your speech and business idea to the potential investor. Number 3 is a traditional source. It's come from incubators and angel investor. Normally it's involve commercial banks, ventures capital firms, and strategy partner. And lastly is a crowdfunding, for example Jobs ACTX. So how we are going to categorize e-commerce business model? So no one correct way, so it varies, and then it's a tax categorizations according to e-commerce sector, for example B2B, business to business, or maybe it's depend on technology, for example m-commerce, mobile commerce. Similar model appear in different sectors, and the company may using multiple business model, for example eBay. And lastly, right, is depend on e-commerce enabler. So in B2C business model, there are few category, for example e-tailers. Second, community provider, for example from social networks. Number 3, content provider. 4 is a porter. 5th is a transaction broker. 6 is market creator, and lastly is a service provider. So let's have a look on the first B2C model is e-tailer, online version of traditional retailer. Normally their revenue model is based on the sales and their variations, right, normally they have few categories. First one maybe is virtual merchant. Second, or brick and click. Number 3 is a catalog merchant, and lastly is a manufacturers direct, and normally is have a lower barrier to entry. The second B2C model is community provider, provide online environment, for example social networks, where people with similar interests can interact, share content and communicate, for example Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest. Their revenue model normally is a hybrid, combining advertising, subscription, sales, transaction, and so on. The third category of B2C model is content provider. Normally, they will provide digital content on the web, such as news, music, video, text, and artwork. The revenue models normally use variety of models, including advertising, subscription, sales of digital goods. The key to access in the market is owning the content, and variation, syndications, and aggregators. And the next model is about portal. So it's search plus an integrated package of the content and services. The revenue model might be come from advertising, referral fees, normally is related to affiliations, and transaction fees, subscription fee for premium services. It can be horizontal, for example, must be very generic, or maybe vertical or specialized, and of course it's come from a search from a user based on certain keywords. And the next model is a transactions broker. It process online transactions for consumer. The primary value propositions normally is help people to save time and money. So normally the revenue models is based on transactions fees. So which type of industry are using this model? For example, financial services or travel services or job placement services, they'll apply this business model. The next business model is a market creator. So it creates digital environment where buyers and sellers can meet and transact. For example, Priceline, eBay. So their revenue models normally came from transactions fees to merchants for access. So they provide online demand services company sharing economics. For example, platform that allow people to sell services. For example, Uber and Airbnb. The next B2C model is service provider. For example, online merchants, right, can use certain online services. For example, they are using Google services, such as a Google Map, to pinpoint the locations, business location. Second, they can use Gmail to facilitate the communication process and so on. So what is the value propositions for service provider? Normally it's valuable, convenient, because you can access the internet everywhere as long as you are connected online. Time saving, low cost alternative to traditional service provider. So the revenue models of this B2C model is from sale of business, subscription fees and advertising, and lastly sales of market data. So we are going to discuss about the other context is about private industry network. Sometimes digital network used to coordinate amongst firms engaged in business partner. It constitutes 75% of all B2B expenditures by large firms, typically evolve out of large companies' internal enterprise system. So for example, right, Walmart's network for supplier. So what is their challenges for e-commerce challenge in business? So e-commerce change industry structures. For example, the rivalries among existing competitors. Second, barriers to entry, and then the threat of new substitute product, the strength of the supplier and bargaining power of buyer. So normally, right, this is a five force right model, right, that makes e-commerce more challenges while in the perfect competitions market. So the next topic is industry value chains. It's a set of activity performed by supplier, manufacturers, transporter, distributor and retailer that transform raw input into final products and services. The internet helped to reduce the cost of information and other transactional costs. It leads to greater operational efficiencies. It lowers down cost, pricing, additional value for customer. So from our left hand side is about the supplier. So they supply the raw materials to the second diagram, which is manufacturers. So the manufacturers transform the raw materials into the commercial products, and then then once the ready products is distributed or disseminate through the market via distributor, so they use inventory management system. And then after that, once the item is go through the distributor, they will try to distribute the item to the retailers based on the regions. Then of course normally is supported by efficiency customer response system, and lastly the item delivery to the customer. When the moment from the each layer, the actual value is added. So the firm value change is activity that a firm engage in to create finite products from raw materials. Each step add value. With help of the internet, is increase the operational efficiency, and it enables product differentiations, and of course it enables precise coordination of step in the chain. So how it look like, for example, e-commerce and firm value change, which involves some department, for example administration, human resource, information system, procurement, finance, and or account. And then the second activity, that one is considered as a secondary activities. The primary activities include inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, sales and markets, and finally which the sales office. So based through the internet, the firm can transform itself. For example, the firm value web. So normally is supported by network business ecosystem. They will use internet technology to coordinate to their value chain of business partner, and it's also coordinate a firm supply with its own production need using an internet-based supply chain management system. So we can see that if internet-based value web, so you can see that the firm will be stay inside the middle. On their left hand side is the direct supplier. So there are some systems used to support in this chain. So they are using supply chain management system, private industry network, on net marketplace to supply the materials to the manufacturers or firm. And then of course when the ready products, they will delivery to their sales office, which is supported by customer relation management system. And of course don't forget about their strategy alliance and business partner, and some of the indirect suppliers. And then what is so special about business strategy? In order to run a business you need a strategy so that you can target to the particulars or specific market. So it's a plan for achieving superior long-term return of capital invested, that is profit. So there are 5 generic strategy. The first one is about product service differentiation. Second is a cost competition, and then number 3 is scope, and the number 4 is focus market niche, and lastly is customer intimacy. So what is about this? So it's an e-commerce technology and business model disruption. So normally business have some challenges is because of disruptive technology. Second, it might be digital disruption. Number 3 is sustaining technology, and the fourth one is based on the stage. For example, disruptor introduce new product of the low quality. Second, disruptor improve products. Number 3, new products become superior to existing product. And lastly is incumbent company lost market share. That's it. Thank you.